What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about the history of Northern Ireland. Now, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to be straightforward with you. Americans do not know what Northern Ireland is. They are not aware of its existence. They are not aware of many things' existence, might I add, but especially Northern Ireland. Americans are barely aware of Ireland. They certainly don't understand what the United Kingdom is, or what the Great Britain is, what the difference is, who's involved, or anything about the British Isles, for that matter. But before I go spin too far out of control here, Americans certainly are aware of Ireland. We, from time to time, bring it up in conversation for this reason or another, because we like their accent, maybe. But Americans, I had never heard of Northern Ireland as a separate... Is it a separate nation? Is it a separate country? Is it a province or a territory? What is Northern Ireland? I hope this video can kind of answer all these questions that I have. I act like I kind of know a thing or two about this. You know, I'm a little familiar, but in reality, I know nothing when I stop and think about it for a second. But I'm here to remedy that, so let's take a look.
Hello everyone, and welcome to...
Okay. Mr. History. I like his little avatar here. Got mustached man in a top hat. I think I can trust him. He looks trustworthy.
This is Europe, and here's the island of Ireland, and this here's Northern Ireland if you...
That's a whole other thing I'll touch on real quick. Americans could not probably point to Ireland on a world map. Nothing against Ireland in particular. It's just that Americans are really bad with world geography. Anything that doesn't, directly concern America here, we tend to not be very intelligent at. So Americans would be able to tell you Ireland's in Europe, and then they'd probably run away if you pulled out a map and you were like, can you point to it? Anyway, so this made me think of that as well.
Understand what I'm saying? Now let's have a look, shall we? Ireland is traditionally divided into 4 provinces: Munster, Leinster, Connacht, and Ulster. And
wow, so already I'm not familiar with Ireland as a country, let alone its 4 territories, are we calling these?
Ireland is traditionally divided into 4 provinces.
Provinces, okay.
Munster, Leinster, Connacht, and Ulster. And
well, if Ulster, isn't the entirety of Northern Ireland contained within the province of Ulster? Does that matter? Is that gonna matter?
The state we know as Northern Ireland comprises 6 of the 9 counties of Ulster. The story of ancient Northern Ireland mirrors that of the rest of Ireland, with its rugged hunters gradually learning the art of agriculture and slowly established what's commonly called a civilization. Then, sometime afterward, no one's sure when exactly.
So, I was wondering if this was gonna give a brief history of just Ireland, but I think we're kind of skipping that for now. At some point, I'm gonna have to brush up on that. We're jumping in where Ireland is already established as a country, and this is just telling about when Ireland, or what do they call the rest of it that's not Northern Ireland? I feel like it has a name. Jeez.
The Celts appeared. There were many tribes of Celts, several of whom are said to have settled in Ireland. The most famous being the Gaels, not to be confused with the Boyles, whose Gaelic language permeated the land, and the land of Ulster looms large in Irish Celtic myth.
Ireland is beautiful, by the way. If that redeems any of my complete lack of knowledge on the entire nation, I know that it's a beautiful place, countryside and whatnot.
And one of its greatest collections of stories is known as the Ulster Cycle, whose wonderful tales are set in the region, and include the heroic exploits of the mighty warrior Cuchulainn, and legend suffuses the landscape too. This coastal rock formation is said to have been built by an Irish giant who sought to battle a Scottish giant. Anyway, the Celts went about doing Celtic things and were converted.
You know, I never actually really appreciated the fact that Celts and Celtic history occurred in Ireland. I don't think I ever really made that connection, by the way.
Converted to Christianity in the 5th century by the famous St. Patrick. In the 1100s, the Normans, who had conquered England in 1066, invaded Ireland and began snatching land. The knight John de Courcy went...
Hold on. This is going very fast. My goodness. For someone who's never heard any of this ever before, it's a lot. Who was invading?
Christianity in the 5th century by the famous St. Patrick. In the 1100s, the Normans...
The Normans? Normandy? Okay.
Who had conquered England in 1066, invaded Ireland and began snatching land.
I'm sorry, but where is Normandy? Google, please. Save me! No, not Wikipedia. You don't have to save me right now. Google Maps has to save me. Normandy. Okay. Kind of. Huh, there's a body of water between Ireland and Normandy. It's in France. Huh. I'm not even sure if that's really what we're talking about. That's just the first thing that came to my mind when I heard the Normans. Is that correct? Are we talking about people from Normandy? Or, huh.
The knight John de Courcy went north and defeated a Northern Irish king and built this castle. John ruled until 1204 when he was booted out by fellow Norman Hugh de Lacy, who was given the title Earl of Ulster by King John. As the centuries passed, the Irish steadily reclaimed more of their island.
Oh. So you had, like, a long period of time where the Normans were invading, establishing kings and whatnot, and then eventually the original Irish inhabitants were able to, like, fight back and take it back over? Is that about right?
Only for England to take it back again. England's colonization...
I was like, this is a heroic story here. This is a legendary take-back of Ireland by its people, and England comes right in and takes it for itself.
Was most extensive and... Only for England to take it back again. England's colonization was most extensive and successful in its plantation of Ulster. Established in the early 1600s under James I, immigrants from England and Scotland brought their Protestant faith and English language and built and farmed, and it is from this Stuart-era settlement that the modern state of Northern Ireland had its genesis.
Really? So does the roots of Northern Ireland... is it filled with the descendants of English and Scottish ancestors who all migrated there? If I understand correctly? Is that a thing?
And it is England and Scotland brought their Protestant faith and English language and built and farmed, and it is from this Stuart-era settlement that the modern state of Northern Ireland had its genesis.
Well, for one thing, he just referred to it as the state of Northern Ireland, if that's how you refer to it. Maybe. I feel like nobody knows. It's a big secret that no one actually knows what to refer to Northern Ireland as. But it seems to be made of Irish people, Scottish people, English people. Northern Ireland. Wow, what a melting pot, as we say.
In 1641, the Irish Catholics, led by Phelim O'Neill, rose in revolt against the Protestants, killing many in massacres such as Portadown, where Protestants were forced to jump off a bridge into a river to drown.
Oh, geez. You know, I just kind of assumed time went on and everyone kind of commingled together. I never kind of rationaled the fact, thought about maybe the possibility that the Irish people would fight the Protestants, English and Scottish Protestants that had come, and make them jump in a river and die. I didn't consider that.
And those who tried to swim were shot like ducks. Protestants began retaliating with similar savagery, but the Catholics nevertheless managed to reconquer most of Ireland. Only for England to take it back again. How?
Oh my gosh. This is such a fascinating thing about a lot of European history is... entire land masses, entire countries and nations, like, losing control, gaining it back, getting it taken back again, then gaining it back again. America has such a sort of simpler history to it that is very, like, straightforward in a way. Whereas when I start hearing about history like this that I've never even heard of, for one thing, it just sounds, like, unreal because it's so interesting. Like, this happened and I wasn't aware? So there's a whole coming to terms with that as well. Anyway, fascinating stuff.
Nevertheless, managed to reconquer most of Ireland. Only for England to take it back again. How?
Okay.
Why, Oliver Cromwell, of course.
Oliver Cromwell. I've heard that name. It's funny. The more I react to some of these history videos, the more I just find myself recognizing random names, but not being able to tell you what that person did, where they were from, or any significance about them. I feel like that's a reflection on the American education system, where it's just, based on memorizing names and lists, and not like American education doesn't emphasize, memorizing the why, the what happened part of it. Instead, it's memorize this list of historical figures. So I know the name Oliver Cromwell.
The Puritan parliamentarians' new model army utterly crushed the Catholics, whose landowners were replaced with Protestants. In 1660, however, quite a lot of land was returned to its original owners under Charles II. And yes, that's a Whig. Now, you can't just give bits of land.
So Charles II just was the king and willingly started giving back territory in Ireland?
Back to some without expecting the others to want theirs too. That's a Whig. Now, you can't just give bits of land back to some without expecting the others to want theirs too. And that was precisely what happened in the next tussle. What triggered it? Well, remember the man...
He tried to be a nice guy. He tried to be a nice king and give people back their land. And it just made more people mad. If that isn't the representation of human nature, then I don't know what is.
And then the Whig, Charles II, his brother, James II, became King of England in 1685, but was highly unpopular in Britain. Why? Because he was a Catholic.
Man, it's funny thinking about how much being a Catholic or a Protestant or this or that in the olden days meant so much that it could start literal war over that fact.
That he might start a dynasty of that faith, he was eventually kicked out in the Glorious Revolution of 1688 and replaced by the Protestant Mary and her Dutch Protestant husband William of Orange. Now, the Catholics of Ireland were not happy that the Catholic James had been overthrown.
Oh, so was Catholicism the predominant religion in Ireland? And they were not happy that that Catholic king was tossed out?
So they launched this rebellion. After 2.5 years of fighting, the Protestants were again victorious, but the hatred and tension remained, and adherents to the separate faiths continued to fight. Anyway, as the 19th century progressed, Northern Ireland industrialized and grew distinctly more wealthy than the rest of Ireland. And
what? So, what are we saying? He had said that the first start of Northern Ireland being a thing was when the Protestants from Scotland and England came over and got in a fight with Irish inhabitants in Northern Ireland. That was like the beginnings of it, establishing technology and trade in that area based on those initial immigrants over, you can say. And now we're just, once you jump ahead like 300 years... Northern Ireland is just continued to excel at technology and trade and economy, so much more so than the rest of Ireland that it's pretty much like discernible as its own separate thing at this point. That's kind of what I've picked up. That's what I'm going with.
Century progressed, and adherents to the separate faiths continued to fight. Anyway, as the 19th century progressed, Northern Ireland industrialized and grew distinctly more wealthy than the rest of Ireland, and passed a number of laws to reduce discrimination against Catholics. The 1800s saw Catholic Ireland push for home rule, that is, wanting to govern themselves from home rather than being governed from London. This made the Protestants of the North...
Oh, yes. Now we're starting to get into hot topics about the Irish and their feeling of being under like the British Empire and the monarchy, and I'm assuming at some point Ireland, or what part of it that's not Northern Ireland, I forget what it's called. Is it the Republic of Ireland or the Kingdom of Ireland? I forget. They're going to eventually decide to completely be independent at some point. Maybe they already are. I don't know.
Jittery, as they felt threatened by the than being governed from London. This
here we go.
For home rule, that is, wanting to govern themselves from home rather than being governed from London. This made the Protestants of the North jittery, as they felt threatened by the prospect of being ruled by the island's Catholic majority. By the early 1900s, the Catholics were fired up and chomping at the bit for freedom from British rule.
So the Catholics, the Irish Catholics, are what we're calling the rest of Ireland, and it's that initial Protestant roots that remain in Northern Ireland. Is that what kind of defined it for a long time? The Protestants in Northern Ireland and the Catholics in the rest of Ireland? Is that what I'm understanding?
But the Protestant North was vehemently opposed to such a thing and longed to remain linked to the UK. Both.
So, yeah, we're basically coming to the point. Wow, I paused it on a rifle, which is ominous. I feel like there's some conflict about to start. So, Ireland, or Southern Ireland, or whatever you want to call it, did not want to be under the rule of the British Empire. And Northern Ireland was totally cool with it. And so they're gonna have a fight, probably.
Both sides began stockpiling weapons. In the 1920s, Catholic Ireland won its independence, and Protestant Northern Ireland remained part of the United
Republic of Ireland. Yes, that is the name. So, hold on. We just had the Republic of Ireland establish its independence. This is going by quick. I mean, the title of this video is A Super Quick History of Northern Ireland. I should have been more prepared for the rapid pace of this video. My goodness.
In the 1920s, Catholic Ireland won its independence, and sides began stockpiling weapons. In the 1920s...
The 1920s? That's 100 years ago. I would never have guessed that. Only 100 years ago was the Republic of Ireland established. Amazing.
Catholic Ireland won its independence, and Protestant Northern Ireland remained part of the United Kingdom, much to the rage of the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, who wanted a unified Ireland, not one with the northeast corner still joined to hateful Britain.
I was gonna say, that's the biggest thing that sticks out to any American who learns about Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, as in the existence of two Irelands. Americans just aren't aware of this. And it's strange, frankly, only because we've viewed Ireland as one place our whole lives. And this has been a thing for 100 years. I just learned that. So there's no reason in school that I wasn't taught about Northern Ireland. So I find this a little odd that I'm so blindsided by the existence of Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. It's so strange. We just call it Ireland. But that's totally incorrect. They're two separate nations? Still don't know what to call them. It's so interesting, though.
The IRA began attacking the British in Northern Ireland, which prompted Protestant attacks on Catholics, and it all spiraled into communal chaos. Thus, Northern Ireland was officially born. In its borders was a majority Protestant population, but also a significant Catholic minority who did not like the idea of a divided Ireland, and wanted it to be one country.
I would assume most Irish don't want Ireland to be two separate nations. I would think that. I don't know. Obviously, there's a deep, deep history here of division, so maybe at this point it's just accepted and cool, just like, you know.
Though Catholics in Northern Ireland were not well liked and faced social inequality, one reason why they remained and didn't immigrate was because the economy was better and they were reluctant to face possible poverty by moving.
So it's just accepted that the economy and wealth in Northern Ireland is better. It's just a better place to live, like economy speaking. That's very interesting. So much so that the Catholics that are persecuted chose to stay there just for a higher quality of life, or, you know, back in the day, it wasn't as easy as hopping in your car and moving. So that could have something to do with it as well.
The IRA set about attacking targets, attempting to undermine British rule in the region. But things didn't really get serious till the late 1960s, when a Catholic civil rights protest was quashed by police, and all that centuries-old hatred and resentment and bitterness erupted into 30 years of violence.
Wow. I mean, we're talking about the 1960s now. This isn't even that long ago. 70 years? All the way up until 1998? Was this, fight? This rekindling of the old aggressions between the two groups? This was only 20 years ago. Amazing.
known as the Troubles. Events during this calamitous era include Bloody Sunday, when British troops opened fire on Catholic protesters, killing
Wow.
14. The Catholic IRA struck back with innumerable terrorist bombings, from that of Bloody Friday to that of Claudy on Bloody Monday. The IRA also began attacking England itself, and were supplied with weapons by Libya's leader Gaddafi. Pro-British Ulster forces got arms from South Africa.
Jeez. This is a whole war. A whole confrontation that I had no idea existed. That went on for like 30 years. No small matter. Man, I'm sure this is so well known and taught in Ireland. The Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, I should say. That it's probably mind-blowing to think that Americans really don't know anything about this. But it's true. At least I know now.
Years of vendetta, shootings, assassinations, and explosions. Finally, after 3,500 people's deaths and tens of thousands of wounded casualties, the Good Friday Agreement was signed in 1998, and the Troubles
Wow.
were over, and the IRA slowly began to disarm, as did the Ulster paramilitaries, and Northern Ireland remained in the UK. In the following years, Northern Ireland's economy grew rapidly, and today the country possesses a very high level of human development, which just goes to show that things can actually go pretty well without daily bombings.
Yeah, to say the least. Wow, and now Northern Ireland, we're kind of getting back to the modern day now. Northern Ireland very much still exists, is still a part of the United Kingdom, and is apparently doing fantastic. So, good for you.
And what's also remarkable about Northern Ireland is how, despite its small area and population, it has produced much excellence from science and literature to sport and cinema.
Wow, I'm gonna have to learn about more of that. All the achievements and inventions and famous innovators and athletes, all from Northern Ireland. That sounds amazing. And it is amazing that such a small country produced such a large amount of successful people and is such a successful economy.
It has produced much excellence from science and literature to sport and cinema. What awaits Northern Ireland in the years
Wait, Liam Neeson? I saw Liam Neeson. Wait.
Much excellence, comment below, from science and literature to sport and cinema.
There he is! I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. I noticed my eyeballs have a Liam Neeson tracker. I saw him in the upper corner. I was like, hey, there he is. Okay.
What awaits Northern Ireland in the years ahead? Comment below. But for now, bye-bye!
Oh my gosh. That was a super quick history of Northern Ireland. That was by Mr. History. I liked that. I give you a like. That was good. That was efficient. Man, I feel like a wealth of historical information has been beamed straight into my brain, downloaded, and that I've retained about 5% of it, if I'm being honest. But I definitely know way more about the origins of Northern Ireland than I did before. And actually, I feel like I have a much better grasp on how Northern Ireland is doing today, which matters a lot. And apparently it's doing quite well, and has quite a few successful people coming out of there. So that's amazing. Yeah, it's always strange when I figure out that there's basically an entire nation on this planet that I know nothing about, yet I've heard people talk about it in America, Ireland, our entire lives. We mention it from here to there, usually the culture or the food or the people, but never really the geography, and not the existence of two states, nations, territories, whatever. Certainly not that somehow. So I'm really glad that I got a lot more clarification on this. Anyway, if you're glad that you watched this video, feel free to leave a comment or give it a like. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to the United Kingdom culture, things I've never seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.